No, let's see. The history of equity and the equitable maxims. Equity will not suffer a wrong to be without a remedy. So this is different to the common law now, and the common law laws of harm, injury and loss. The role of equity is to supplement, not to override and not to be superior, but to supplement the common law. So if you haven't heard of equity and you claim to use and know common law, then you need to understand where we are coming from with these possible options there. The common law remedies may be inadequate or non-existent. So the court of equity was the court of the king's conscience. It is impossible to make a law that is universally applicable to all of man. So there's bound to always be a case where the rule results in fairness. These are the cases where the Court of Equity provides a remedy. 1858, Reception of UK Law, Birth Certificate Law and Equity Act, 1873. DC Law, no, just says Law and Equity Act, 1873. It's a fusion of law and equity merged into the High Court of Justice, merged together at the same time with admiralty, probate, matrimonial, came to law, an act passed in 1879. I think that was the Adjudication Act. I haven't made a reference to that, but Section 44 of the Law and Equity Act codifies the principle of the Earl of Oxford 1644 case. If the rules of equity and common law conflict, then equity will prevail. But if you do not know how to act in persona and to invoke some parts of equity, then you will never get an equitable remedy to supersede your common law one, because they will never tell you. It's a bit like benefits in the United Kingdom. If you're hard up and you can't feed yourself and you can't pay your rent and you can't feed pay your bills, they won't write to you and tell you, oh, by the way, you can have this, this and this. You need to know. So your ignorance is literally no defence. So we have 20 equitable maxims here. Number one, equity sees that has done what ought to be done. So this is like honour and clean hand side of it, yes? Number two, equity will not suffer a wrong to be without a remedy. So just remember your common law, principles, and then put them to the side of this. Number three, equity delights in equality. Equality is equity. I've got some Latin now, I'm too early to read that. Number four, one who seeks equity must do equity. So if you're a con man, or you're a fraud, don't take this personally, but you've got unconscionable acts, they're not honourable, then when you get found out in the judiciary and you're trying to claim being honourable, we'll say someone who gives you a mortgage might try to claim to be honourable, yes, and say you owe them money. So I'm not going to go there, but it's that kind of a thing, yeah? So you can't rely on equity if you are a soulless corporate entity, okay? Does that give you a better idea? Only the man can use that. But when they go to court and say, I'm the flesh and blood, I'm not the person, I demand to see your oath, I don't have an international treaty, I am not the surrogate for this. Well, you are, and the assumptions and presumptions we are finding within these bondages in the General Register's office. So yes, that was the reason why I put that there. You need to be aware that there's other stuff that you need to maybe consider. So one who seeks equity must do equity was number four. Number five, equity aids the vigilant, not the indolent. I'll let you look at that word up. In this game, I tend to look at the dictionary once every game, at least. And when I'm in that dictionary, it's like you're just chasing the words, the implied meaning, the definition, and so forth.
Sorry, David.
Yeah.
You mean a normal dictionary or a legal?
We look at the Oxford Concise, we look at the Black's Law for the legalese definition, and then we look at the Oxford Styles Manual for grammar, punctuation, capitalisation, dogma, glossa, all of this stuff that comes from the Roman side of it. So yeah, you look at them all. Oxford for the Babel, Anglo-Saxon, what I'm speaking to you now in, and then you look at the legalese and the Black's Law, the dark occult books. And you look at that, right, to suffer. Did you suffer at the hands of the officer, Mr. David? Yes, I did, Your Honour. I suffered at the hands of the officer. Let's go to Black's Law Dictionary. Suffer, breakdown, to allow, to consent. So I consented to be harmed at the hands of the officer. I've just said to the judiciary in the court, if I don't understand and set my parameters as not speaking legalese, not licensed to use legalese, I'm at a disadvantage in the judiciary, because as far as I'm aware, So when you go to a judiciary, you're already at a disadvantage because it looks like English, it sounds like English, it reads like English, but it's totally different. So good point. Let me move on because I'm time conscious. Time check, please. 10 minutes, we say. Is that right?
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1.
Number 6, equity imputes an intent to fulfil an obligation. 7, equity acts in persona, i.e. on persons rather than objects. So, how do you go to court, David? And how do you represent as the living body in the flesh? And how would you not contract? Well, I would go and use my private person. David, lowercase, semicolon, Jeremita. David of the estate, Jeremita. David, authorised representative and agent in office on behalf of, depending on the claimant, the status and what was going off at hand. So I would present using no title and the private person. So a coin drop moment for me, a year or so ago, was the fact I found out there's 3 of me. There's me, the man speaking now in the private, David. Then there's the all caps name that was the part of the certificate of birth. The surname is annexed to the delivery room where the product is delivered, not a man being born. And yes, there's 3 of you there with regards to the capital name, Mr. David Jeremita, date of birth, surname. That's one of my persons. My other person is a private person that I use when I contract in the private and don't want to go public. So when Thomas went to the court in the Oxford Magistrates, he presented as Thomas of the family and his surname. And that's how we did it, you see. So that's the private way to present it. You go there and say, I'm a man, the body in the flesh, and blah, blah, blah. They can't hear you. They can't hear you. You can either cause them damage, or you'll get a summary judgment because you have failed to set your status, capacity, and certain things like that. So this is why it's in personam. So rather than saying I'm the man, body in the flesh, if you're using equity and you've invoked equity, as we see it, you're now in the private, you've diverted the public liability, and somebody's using that name in commerce without your authority in a court of law, of which I'll go to the prosecution. Who has authorised this name to be used in commerce today? You know, after checking we're all sworn in, and he's brought his chequebook for some damages. So this is the type of mentality that we're trying to get in the courtroom now, as opposed to aggravating, vexatious, damaging, and ending up with a summary judgment, or the judge absconded and trying to hold the court in your absence, or other things happening there. Number 8, equity abhors a forfeiture. Number 9, equity does not require an idle gesture. 10, he who comes into equity must come with clean hands. That's self-explanatory. Equity delights to do justice and not by halves. Equity will take jurisdiction to avoid a multiplicity of suits. That was 12, so I'll slow down a bit. 13, equity follows the law. Not the codes, not the statutes, not the man-made law, but the actual, laws that we have of the land. Law and legal, we see it as different, very much different.
Sorry, do you mean it follows the common law?
No, equity is by the man, so common law is public. We would say equity, some parts of equitable remedy are private. That's what we're trying to help, from you understand there. So, no, totally opposite. But you can have equity in public. It doesn't mean all equity is private. You can have public equity in the public view, but it's generally in the private, yes. Equity will not assist a volunteer. That's number 14. 15, where equities are equal, the law will prevail. So if you have a common law argument and you're in common law and you can't get out of it, the judiciary will look to you to see instructions from you. You can't instruct him and tell him where your rightful remedy would be, then he will operate on assumptions and programming because you don't clearly know how to, not an insult to you, but we don't know. Man doesn't know what his options are, what his rights are, his status, his standing, his capacity, what we're obliged to do and what we're not obliged to do. 15, I've said. 16, between equal equities, the first in order of time shall prevail. 17, equity will not complete an imperfect gift. Not 18, 17, sorry, 18, equity will not allow a statute to be used as a cloak for fraud. So number 18, equity will not allow a statute, common law, public statutory code, to be used as a cloak for fraud. So we can pinpoint that and argue that with regards to rebuttal of the assumptions and presumptions, the 12 presumptions of law, certain things like that. 19, equity will not allow a trust to fail for want of a trustee. And 20, equity regards the beneficiary as the true owner. Who knows about trustee, beneficiary and settlor, these positions? Anyone heard of those? Well done, yes, Mark. I thought we might have, yes. Show of hands, so not many. That's worrying, that's an alarm bell and red flags, because here's an example of a trust. Who's used a trust before? Yeah, don't be shy. Yes, Tom, Mark, alright, you guys. So, I'm in the pub, we're all in the pub now. I'm not a drinker, but we're in the pub, we're all in the pub now, and I say to Matthew, here's £200, Matt, please go and get everybody a drink, and you know, I round on me. So I'm the settlor, I put in the credits, the banknotes, the money to Matthew. He's now the trustee, he's took £200, he's going to go and get a round of drinks for you all. Matthew decides to go off and go across the road, get a kebab, get a taxi, and you know, put the money in his bank, and he's failed as a trustee now. You know, we're all sat there, where's the drinks today? Well, Matt's bringing them, but he's gone. So Matt turns up, he brings all the drinks back, he gives me the change. The trust has now been dissolved. So there was no judiciary, there was no fancy paperwork, there was no thumbprints or stamps, there was no signatures. It was a verbally expressed trust. So we can express a trust verbally, we can correct a trust verbally. So you may have heard, back in the day, I heard guys talking about trust and dissolving a trust with the court and correcting the trust. And the trust there is the birth certificate trust. So in the magistrates, the only bond that is open in these securities, these domains of businesses that are trading without securities, is my person's or whoever's the legal claim of the person's, the man's person. My birth certificate would be in the court, my person's birth certificate would be in the court, the bond open in the magistrates to trade for the indemnities. We'd call for subrogation on some parts on that, because we know that they de facto law of court. So it does all go around in a circle here. There's a trust, and we look at it as the judiciary. The banker is looking at being the trustee, is looking at being the beneficiary instead of the trustee, and we are supposedly the beneficiary of the CQV 1666, the SS2KV trust, which is your birth certificate, in with that. So while we're looking in the judiciary and going in there and not crossing the line for going into the dock, please search the Miami Court building. If anyone's got any internet or is on the wireless, you can look at the Miami Court building. You'll see that it's designed in the shape of a boat. It's admiralty. So when you go into the court, before you go into the dock, you might want to ask the judiciary, before I go into this dock, am I entering into a contract? You might want to answer, because the answer is yes. You are entering into a contract. So with this trust, currently, the trustee, in legal terms, this is a misconstrued trust. It's a public statutory misconstrued trust. I have a website, and I'm looking at launching trust technology for the last 2 years, and I have an express private trust. So my trust is not in the public, it's not legal, it is legal, it's lawful legal, we'll talk about those later, but it's governed by the Trustee Act 2000, so it's managed within the public realm, within the trustees are managed like all trustees are managed in all trusts, but we have a private trust, not a public statutory trust like the NHS, public statutory trust. We're all beneficiaries of it. You go there, you contract, date of birth, surname, A&E, you broke your leg, you go in, you contract, you get a benefit from it, you come out, jobs are good. You go to the job centre, you want to claim some benefits because you've lost your money, your job, and you need some money, income, credit, and you sign. Now you sign it with liability, to terms and conditions, with full public liability. But you've paid your tax, you've got your NI number, so when you find yourself on your bum, you go to the government and say, I paid all my bills, get some money, universal credit or something that they're looking at now is what we should get, but we don't. We are put into the public trustee position instead of the beneficiary. So man, you, when I say man I mean woman as well, I don't mean to be rude, we classify it as, all together, we have rights given by the Creator. Persons, citizens and employees don't have rights, they have entitlements and benefits and they are subject to sanctions. So, so the man has the rights and the benefits. If you know who you are, half of the remedy is knowing who you are. you know, and if you don't know who you are, they will run circles around you all day long. So if you have your rights taken away, it's because you've submitted them. When you submit, you tap out, you know, in the wrestle, you submit and tap out. So we can correct these relationships. I haven't got all the answers, but I am getting good results in the magistrates with private issues. I've sent a letter to the Chief Executive of the National Health Service for England, to the England NHS National Health Service. Simon Stevens has had a critical email from me on behalf of one of the beneficiaries to say harm, injury, loss and neglect is occurring from the principal trustees of the NHS Trust. I've notified the principal trustee and I've notified the agents that operate for the Primary Service Care Provider Trust, which is under the umbrella of the National Health Service, you know, public trust that we have under Theresa May's government, under the Queen. So we come all the way down and find the agents are running them off. So rather than go to the officer, John, you know, or to the Met Office or to the NHS complaint, we go to them and we let them know, but notice to agent is notice to principal. And you may have seen that on the public contract law, argument, conditional acceptance letters and so forth. So we notice them using these. We don't write and complain, and we don't send letters in. We make claims, and when we make a claim, we do it in law, and we provide the proof of the claim to that, otherwise there is no claim. And yeah, Simon Stevens, Chief Executive of the NHS England, the Primary Service Care Trust, has had his arse kicked from me. He's got so many days to respond before claims is in, and we will look at letting him know that he's in big trouble. Jeremy Hunt's been notified, Steve Barclay's been notified, all of the principal at the top and the agents and everybody's been notified in their individual capacity, and I've made the man who's currently waiting for NHS treatment, I've corrected his trust relationship, moved him from the public under the assumptions and presumptions of the Roman civil law, and said, it's private, you're the trustees, he's the beneficiary, I'm his power of attorney, you deal with me now. I've cut the barrier to him direct from the NHS, and he comes to me and I go to him. So he's no longer in that direct line of danger and certain things, and because he was the trustee, the public side. So in a trust, you have a triangle. I know I've got a pen. The triangle's here, and the king position is settlor. Whoever has the allodial title or the creditor, you may have thinking debtor, creditor. Well, the creditor is here. The debtor would be the trustee. So it's similar again. You have your beneficiary would be here, and you know your settlers there, and your trustees here. Well, we are here at the minute, and the judge is trying to be the king. So what we do, or whoever it is in question, not necessarily judiciary. So we would say, okay, your judge going to go from king to trustee. We're going to go from trustee to king, and possibly be a beneficiary as well, and put him back in his place. So the judiciary doesn't answer. He doesn't. Prosecution hasn't got anything to solid, no status, no standing, no capacity, no validated claims. We're using the name without authority. I appear to be in the wrong court here. What I'm going to do here, my judge, be careful how you address them and what title you give them. I'm going to make you the trustee of my estate for the time being. I'm going to be the beneficiary. So you very cleverly got a way to correct the trust, but without going into all of the trust technology. And the last bit is, because we have assumptions and presumptions, I have a list at the minute of which I'm presently working through to look at. You may have heard of a thing called a claim of right, a notice of intent, certain things like that. So we're looking at these biblical, it is biblical what's happened to us in this Anglo-Saxon landmass. You think of all the blood that's been spilled, all of the battles, the wars, you know, and what's happened, and all the invasions, and the Spanish and the French and the Germans, and here we are, everybody's fallen, and spilled the blood, and we are kind of being taken over and killed by not a direct war, not bombs, nothing that we can see, nobody that we can clearly identify. Where is the government? It doesn't really exist, but there is one, you know, it's on paper, and they're killing us by 1,000 paper cuts, and we can't definitively put our hands on anyone, anything, any place. But we're starting to. The last bit is I'm going to look at the Register General at the Court of Chancery, the First Lord of the Treasury, which is Stable Mabel, the Keeper of the Faith, which I thought was the Queen. It looks like it's Prince Charles, and I'm still to confirm that. The Lord Chief Justice, John Thomas, the Chief Constable of the Metropolitan Police, and the Attorney General, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and the Secretary of State and the local police. These are just notes I've got there to look at. Who to serve to correct my status, removing the private, and look at the claim of rights. I'm currently considering the ecclesiasticals, and A for V, debtor creditor. We've got some text here of accepted for value, returned for value, settlement of account. You put the charge there the same to adjust to zero to the straw man name. This is for settlement of account, and we've also got settlement and closure of account text that you'd use with an indemnification number for like gas, electric, allegedly council tax, all municipal government charges, court charges, and you'd use your equitable asset, which is your signature or your thumbprint. That's to denote the man and the authority. When you see a celebrity, you don't ask for a signature, you ask for an autograph from the living body of the, you see. So I'm going to wrap it up there, guys, and hope I haven't spoken too much or too fast. You did drop it on me, though. Any questions? If you've got a question, I'll take a quick question and then I'll yield the floor. Go on, my lady. So what I'm just planning to guess.